Gosh, there's a fly in my room that is driving me batshit crazy right now.
If you only had a golden gun.
If I only had a golden gun. Slappers.
How about that new electric tennis racket thing? That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Or the laser watch.
Laser watch. You can do laser watch.
I just caught the fly in midair.
Oh, man.
Dude,
Guy is a Jedi.
That's the best.
Wow.
Dude, I did that a couple weeks ago. It was one of the best things.
Roll the replay. Roll the replay.
We're rolling the replay right now.
The audio replay.
Slow motion.
Oh,
yes,
man.
he did catch it.
It's the power of the martini.
Hello and welcome to episode 90 of the Gamebrew Podcast, the bi-weekly video game podcast where we sip delicious beers, discuss video games, and don't harass female agents. I am your host, Dan Ernst Stavro Blofeld Ratz, and I'm joined by special guests who took time out of their own podcast, Long Lost Heroes, to chat with us. AJ Alec Trevelyan Sherman.
Am I supposed to feel sorry for you?
And Frank Dr. No Marsilio.
$1 million, Mr. Bond.
And some of the regular crew, too. We've got Chris Goldfinger Wrights.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Alex Mr. Big Writer.
Names is for tombstones, baby.
And Allison Electra King Vandavander.
There's no point in living if you can't share the life.
This week, if you couldn't tell, we're going to be talking about some of the James Bond games, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as well as break down what we think makes the best sort of spy games in the second half. But first, it's time for a beer.
No, I think we should get vodka martinis, shaken, not stirred, right?
Shaken.
Whoa, Chris just said we shouldn't drink beer. Chris, are you
It's
sick?
Bond week, I guess.
Are you okay?
I don't know. So,
You feel all right with this?
So-
Are we good?
so-
Is this cheating?
It feels like cheating. This is actually the first time I've ever made a martini, and probably one of the only times I've ever had a martini in my life. And
Yeah, me too.
So I had to kind of learn a lot about martinis really quickly. So originally I was looking at vodka martinis. That's 2 parts vodka, 1 part vermouth, a little bit of bitters, and some olives. And then I learned that there is a Vesper martini, which is the James Bond martini. It's
Yes, it is.
3 parts gin, 1 part vodka, 1/2 part vermouth, and olives.
Good night. It's a
So-
strong drink.
Pretty strong drinks. I also learned that a dirty martini is when you use olive juice. And I don't understand why anyone would not put olive juice in these because they're just raw liquor otherwise.
Pretty much tastes like, I'm drinking that. It pretty much just tastes like gin,
Oh yeah, I guess we have to
and
taste it.
gin and vodka and vermouth. With a little bit of lemon in there. And maybe some of my own blood. I don't know. I didn't really check that close, but
Yeah. It's yeah, I wouldn't have it without the olive juice, I don't think.
Dan, why is
I'm
there
having
blood?
it without the olive.
oh, because I was trying to make a fancy little lemon twist, and instead I just sliced a big chunk out of my hand. So
It's the same thing. Lemon
same
twist,
difference.
flesh.
If I pass out, everyone's been instructed to just keep going. So
Yep, we
And
will.
we will.
It'll
We will
help.
trudge on.
I don't know how I'm going to export my audio. Somebody, I don't know, text my brother or something.
I'll drive up there or
Okay.
something.
All right.
But yeah, so first vodka martini, or martini in general, it's fine.
It's fine.
Like I think I kind of get it. Like it's a pretty easy drink. It tastes, it's clean. It's I don't know. It feels classy, I guess.
It certainly is
Do you have
classy.
your pinky out while you're drinking it?
Sometimes.
So I've been making these a bit because we've been watching a lot of James Bond.
Appropriate.
Yeah, so
I think you said that you've watched 18 of the 24 Bond films.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're moving and grooving.
It's been a long project. We started in March. We've
Wow.
been pretty much having weekly episodes with a couple of off weeks here and there. We've done wrap-ups for each of the actors pretty much, and we've also had some detours into Austin Powers, which is, the perfect parody of James Bond.
It is.
So I've had a little bit of experience making these now. I mostly do gin. I've got a twist of lemon in it, and I like it.
What gin are you using?
There is this liquor store down the block from me that's like a wine and liquor place, and they have like a lot of boutique-y stuff. It's called Aria Gin, and it's from Portland, Oregon. It's very good. I like it a lot.
I got Gordon's because that's what the recipe told me to do for the Bond drink,
Yeah.
and I did not deviate from the recipe because I had no idea what I was doing.
London dry gin, that's what you need.
Does it smell like pine needles to everyone else?
Well, yeah,
Is
that's
that just
gin.
me?
That's the gin.
It tastes like trees.
Why do people drink this on purpose?
I don't know.
I don't want to
It's
drink
delicious.
trees.
I don't know, Allison.
don't know.
So Katie and I have really gotten into gin and tonics this summer, so we've been trying out a ton of different gins. So I used Blue Coat gin, but that's a British gin, so it's fine.
Chris,
Like, it tastes good in this mixture, but I can't get over the pine tree smell. Like, I just feel like I'm drinking floor cleaner.
That's
weird.
That's about right. And Alex, you said you've been drinking a lot more.
Yeah, Amber and I we like to make martinis, and Amber really likes gin and
Olives.
tonics, and
Nice.
so I recently got this Brockman's gin, which is really good. It's an English gin, but it's a lot smoother and it's less pine tree, less bite, and that paired with my Tito's vodka is very smooth in this martini.
I swear,
And-
you're going to make me a martini one day, and I'm going to love it.
Well, and I make mine very dirty. There's a lot of olives juice, and there's
Yeah, if you could see it, it's basically like a.
It's very green.
It's very green color.
It's cloudy. Yeah.
It's so pretty looking.
There's
like
like 8
six-
olives in it.
Yeah,
AJ, what do you think?
the best way.
How's your martini?
So,
mixture?
it's been a crazy day over at my house, and in lieu of being able to get dry vermouth and use some of the gin that I had over there, and in lieu of just mixing straight vodka together with gin, I opened special Russian vodka.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I saw that.
I am enjoying it over ice, which, you know, me and Frank had this discussion over the past couple of days because I was a bartender early in life. Was any of you guys ever a bartender or bartended?
I've
No.
never tended bar.
Okay, so if you know anything about bartending, then the way that you make different kinds of drinks requires different methods, right? So when they're shaking, usually it's because you're shaking clear liquids with juices or some other kind of thing that you need to create the emulsion, right? Or sour
Makes
mix,
sense.
and then you need to shake it. Well, when you shake, you're not supposed to shake clear liquids because when you are shaking them, you're dissolving more water into the drink, right? And ultimately, it's less weak. So, like, ordering the Vesper this way, like, kind of makes sense because it's watering it down more. And, like, Frank and I were having this discussion, like, do we think that Bond is intentionally ordering it that way to maintain even a more level of sobriety, or is it like some other kind of like betwixt thing? And it's been a good argument, and I welcome it now. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense, but I like whiskey and water, and this really, really good vodka with a little bit of ice. It's pretty nice.
Sounds
Not
good.
terrible.
I feel really stupid right now.
Oh, no.
Because I read the recipe and the whole shaken not stirred thing. So all I'm thinking is like he just wants it shaken for some reason and not stirred with a spoon. I didn't realize there was supposed to be ice in there, wasn't there?
There was,
for sure.
yes.
Yeah, you need to have ice.
yeah,
Ice,
because that chills it. Yeah,
ice
Otherwise,
is
it's
the
just
biggest
shaken
ingredient
alcohol.
in the bar.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the shaken alcohol part. I'm not going to lie. I was like, he's
that's
just
great.
being fancy for the sake of. He's being difficult because he's Bond and he can.
Yeah.
Like, that was what was going through my head. And now I feel really silly. And mine was already cold because the alcohol was already cold. But yeah, makes
That's
so
good.
much more sense.
That's great.
Because
Anyway.
you can also chill your glasses, which I did with this, and I put it in the freezer, and that made it really good.
I just
but
have a
you need
wine
ice.
glass.
I
Everyone has
I
pretty-
did that.
pretty
I have
glasses.
a wine glass because I don't have martini glasses.
So, AJ, going off of that discussion about the glasses,
Yes.
explain to us why a martini glass is important for the martini?
Oh, because you're not really the way that people most likely touch a martini, or the way that them hold a martini, is like this in a TV show. What I mean is that you're gripping the base of the glass, right, with your hands, and that thus warms it. So when you actually hold a martini glass, you're actually supposed to hold it from the stem, which is a lot harder and more awkward. So I actually have like really kick-ass. Exactly, it's really difficult, right? I have really kick-ass Tiffany cocktail glasses in my in my my in-laws' basement right now. They're just waiting for me to be in my house to use. I've used them a couple of times, but I do not have one now. So yeah, the main thing is that it's meant to keep them cold. You want to have nice,
interesting,
clear, beautiful cocktails.
So stemless for this was a poor choice.
No.
Poor choice.
Well,
Technically, but who cares?
chose poorly. No,
This is the Game Brew podcast, and we break rules.
We drink beer.
yeah, it's okay. Cocktails have a lot of like really fun etiquette, where like dog parks have really shitty etiquette. So like you just want to have different levels of stuff.
Perfect.
How long have you had that on like your that
Your joke
phrase
list?
just on your joke list?
Oh, probably
that's solid.
probably today, because Einie got bit super bad. Einstein, my dog, he's a golden doodle. He looks indeed like Einstein, but also from Back to the Future. I wanted to name him. I really wanted him to be named Kramer, but that didn't work out in my house.
Yeah.
So ultimately, he's Einstein. We were at the dog park today, and he got hit really hard in he got bit in the face, and I didn't know that he got bit in the face at the time. And like I checked everywhere like you would normally check, like his paws, his chest, his tail, his nuts, all his different parts, and I didn't check his fucking face, where he got totally nailed, like right here in between the eyes, little guy. And and I like yelled at this lady. And like what's bad about it is like I didn't do the right thing, which was to like get her information and really check the dog, and I was just like blinded by the dark side. I was really fucking just like
Well, it's hard,
taken
yeah.
over, and just like wanted her to just roast, and she like didn't take her dog immediately, which was so crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, one day, but yes, I was thinking about it all
She
day.
sucks, and it's her fault.
Yeah, for sure. And she
Fuck
should have
her.
taken her dog immediately, and she did not. And I was trying to get Einstein to go play with the other dogs, and he was just like, I don't even know what to do right now. I got bit in the face, and you're not doing anything. So then I grabbed him, and like we went out, and as the lady... What happened, what was so nuts, and like what even like made me fully lash out at her and like go full dark side energy, was like the guy who had this like really shitty small dog in the big dog park, specifically big dog park. He had this little dog, and when he was leaving the airlock, the space between the dog park and real life, this guy left the fucking gate open 9:30 in the morning, and this guy and like he just walked away, and I'm just like fucking crazy Anakin Skywalker eyes at him. And then I close the thing, and I turn around, and I hear the lady say for the second time, which she had said to me earlier, which was that she would have liked to have gotten to the dog and got him away, because the dog is sensitive when other dogs come to the water bowl. Well, one of the fundamental things about coming to the dog park is your dog has to be able to share with the water dish and be okay, and like not fucking bite dogs in the faces. And I was like, it's probably a good thing. You should do the thing where you take responsibility and leave.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, well, I didn't know your dog was perfect. Mine's a rescue. And I'm like, so is mine, Karen. And I left.
All right, Karen. you
That's
need to calm
not
down
a
with
That's
thing.
not a
excuses.
thing. That's not a thing.
That's the worst. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm glad you have vodka.
Yes.
Yeah, give him some smooth
Why
whispers.
we
So we have the long lost heroes on this podcast because obviously they're doing this trip through the James Bond movies on Long Lost Heroes podcast. So make sure you go subscribe to them on all of the podcast mediums. So we figured we'd have them on, and we would talk a little bit about the James Bond video game series.
Awesome.
Because those are
Yes.
things
Sounds great.
things that exist.
Formative. Very formative.
They had like one or two.
Only a few. of them.
There's this one that I feel like a lot of people really played a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It was an
Nightfire.
indie game.
Yeah,
It was an
Nightfire
indie
was
game,
awesome,
though.
wasn't it?
Well, right, and that's the one that kind of night. Yeah. But you're talking about obviously GoldenEye for the N64, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that was
How can you not?
we all have that as kind of in the back of our minds as like the ultimate James Bond video game. Why? What's the thing that makes that the one that sticks out to you and to us the most? What do you think?
Well, I think that it was just that it came out on N64 when it was kind of an up and coming console. It was a shooter that was pretty solid. Like, I mean, looking back on it with what we see shooters now, it's hard to play it, just because mostly because of the control scheme.
Yeah.
Mostly, I mean, I tried Perfect Dark, which was the same control scheme by the same company, but and a lot of the same maps for multiplayer. But it was kind of my first foray into first person shooters, because I didn't really play Doom before that. I didn't really play like Quake or anything like that. It was my first person shooter, I think.
The multiplayer really was one of the biggest things about it, right? Like, because the movie came out 2 years before the game, and while it had been a return to James Bond where they hadn't had an entry since like 89, I believe, so it's like 6 years, but and with a new actor, great. I don't think that the movie was such a huge hit that everyone was like, oh, we need a video game for it, but they saw an opportunity and they made the story, and it was great, and the multiplayer is really where it shone, and
They birthed your generation.
Yeah, it's the couch co-op. That's where it was born. Like that generation, you're playing with all your friends, your cousins, your siblings on the couch, and just endless hours. Like there are these memes of like kids that were in college at the time, a bit older than us, that they wouldn't leave their dorm rooms. Right? Like it just was such a huge formative
The Rumble
game.
Pack. Oh my god.
Oh, the Rumble Pack.
Well, and all the different modes, like you could do rockets only or slappers only, which was awesome, or sticks and stones.
No odd job.
The golden gun.
No odd job.
Yeah, no odd job. No odd job.
Yeah, with the
Because you couldn't crouch, and so odd job was a permanent crouch.
Yeah, he was always small.
he was slightly shorter, and he had a free instant kill weapon.
Yeah.
Proximity
awesome.
mines.
Proximity mines.
Love those mines.
That was
Those are good.
I think
Slappers.
yeah, slappers.
Slappers only.
I think one of my favorite ones was just to do proximity mines only, and then just you and your friends running around, just putting them places, and just
Yes.
hoping that no one runs into them, or slapping them to death before they run into your proximity mines.
Or you could do remote mines, and you can like hide out on a spot where you're like,
man,
oh,
remote mines were cool.
yeah, and then you're like, okay, they're gonna walk by right now.
Set traps and shit.
Can I do one of Allison's like famous, probably not a popular opinion? So I think GoldenEye was an amazing game, but I don't think it was a good James Bond game.
No.
I think it was a great FPS.
Yes.
I don't think there's been a good James Bond game. We can talk about that in a little bit.
Whoa.
I don't know. I think there has
none of
been,
them-
but
Okay. I don't want to get into that at this
Well,
moment.
we're going to talk a little bit about that.
we're gonna move there.
I want to ooze on GoldenEye for a little bit, but I think that the cool thing about GoldenEye was that it introduced a lot of people in a new way to first-person shooters, to multiplayer, and to the N64. So it was a combination of all those things, and that's what made it great.
Yeah.
Right, it was a good FPS, just not a great Bond game.
Yeah.
And also,
The story wasn't there. It didn't feel like.
yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's the story in GoldenEye is like, it's spies, it's espionage. Whenever you try and translate that to a first-person shooter game, especially in when did it release?
97.
97.
Yeah.
97, yeah.
What
Sorry.
like
Yeah,
it's gonna be so hard to do that, but we all still played it, and it was all still good. And I also played it before I saw the movie, so obviously I was like, oh, I understand it. I know who's who now.
I didn't mind the campaign. I liked the single player campaign and the story of that. My biggest problem was I didn't have an N64, and so in order to play it, I always had to go to my neighbor's house to play. And so whenever we're over there, he doesn't want to watch me just play the campaign.
No.
And so we would just do multiplayer. So when I did when he would let me like if we were doing like a sleepover or something and everyone else went to bed, then I would play the campaign like all night long. And I liked it, mostly because, and I've said this a lot on the podcast, but I played mostly like sports games, and so I liked the campaign. I enjoyed it.
It was the game that made me ask my parents to buy me a Game Shark for Christmas.
So you get all the
Game
cheats
Shark.
in there.
So
What were
yeah,
you cheating in it?
Big head.
so you could get
Big
DK
head
head, you
Big
could
time
get
cheats.
DK head, I think it was called, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yes, because
Donkey Kong.
Nintendo.
Yeah. But yeah, like you could unlock all the weapons on any level. You could be invincible. You could do a bunch of
didn't
different
know
things.
that.
Yeah, it was the game that made me get a Game Shark.
I only had a Game Shark on my Game Boy, so that was news to
I
me.
never did because I wasn't a big cheater like you guys. But the that was like the one we all kind of remember. There are a lot of James Bond games that have been released over the years.
Was there anything before GoldenEye that was substantial?
Substantial?
There was a substantial is a strong
substantial.
word.
That's a
Okay.
strong word.
There were lots of games.
There were lots of games. Starting in 1982, there was Shaken But Not Stirred. 83, James Bond 007. 85, View to Kill, which was like a PC action game. And then there was also a text-based Mac game under the same name, which honestly, I think that works really well as a James Bond game. Like text-based adventure
so.
would
Yeah.
make sense
Sure.
because it's, I mean, when you think about it, until like the 90s, James Bond wasn't necessarily entirely about shooty bang bang, you know? It was more about,
Well, he was all about the bang bang for sure.
there was a part of him that was about the bang bang. But the one that I remember the most honestly is The World Is Not Enough,
Yes.
which the movie, I mean, was okay.
Yes.
But
The movie was not good.
yeah, but
Movie's
the
no good.
game I thought was interesting because depending on like what level you did it on, like how hard it was, it didn't necessarily make the enemies harder, which it did, but it also added more objectives for you to do in each level, where it would be like, instead of just like, okay, go blow up the dam, or like, oh, go blow up this facility. Instead it was, oh yeah, first you have to find these things, then you have to go to this place and get this thing, and then you have to blow up the dam. So the other objectives are still there. You just have to do more of them to get more points, and like it added a point mechanic to it, which I thought was
Is that the game that you also drove in like the ice castle?
that
Probably.
That was that's
Die Another Day.
that would have been a Die Another Day.
yeah, you didn't drive it in.
But I don't know if there was a Die Another Day game.
There were a couple. There was like Nightfire had some driving sections.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, that was in a
Don't worry about
movie.
me.
Yeah, it was it was in a movie.
So I played I played a little bit of Agent Under Fire, but I played a ton of Nightfire, mostly because there were guided rockets in Nightfire. I don't know if you guys played that as well.
I
but
played
there
a
was,
lot of Nightfire.
There was
actually.
there was one multiplayer map, and there was bots in that game. And there was a multiplayer map where it was a ski lodge, and there was 2 ski lodges, one at the top, one at the bottom. And we would do guided missiles. And basically, it would just be like launching guided missiles from the top down to the bottom and wrecking these bots. Yeah. And me and my friend Tyler would do that for literally hours, every weekend, all the time. It was, I don't know why that was so much fun, but it was.
So, Chris, I have good news for you. You can still play Nightfire. So
Oh, yeah?
this past week, I've been playing Nightfire Source,
Okay.
which you can download for free on PC. It's the entire game. You can do multiplayer or you can do single player mode.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I've been playing it. It's cool because it's kind of like a remastered version of the game, so you can play it 1920, 1080. It's difficult. The game is a little bit difficult. I think it's because it's so clunky, and like being used to everything acting more natural in games that we play now. Going back to a game and playing it like that it's super clunky and like it's not 2-dimensional, but it feels 2-dimensional almost in like your movement and your aiming and just working scopes on sniper rifles and stuff like that is super clunky. And so just getting around all of that is very difficult now that I'm used to playing more modern games.
AJ, do you have any other forays into the James Bond video games franchises?
No, I do not. My experience kind of starts and ends with GoldenEye. Me and my brothers had Nintendo 64. There was 3 of us. It was a system that had, for that we could all play together. That's kind of where it lives and dies with me. I'm sorry. But I do appreciate the fact that, like, it continues on, and, like, I would be definitely interested in playing these. Right now, I have not. I'm sorry.
Well, continues on.
Don't be sorry.
No.
Don't be sorry about it, but also continues on is a very interesting term to use because there hasn't been a James Bond game in 8 years.
There will be. I think the future will be VR and stuff, and I'm excited to see if they can do that.
VR for a James Bond game?
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Describe that to me. I want to know.
Are we kind of
do we
talking
wanna
about
wait
that next
Let's
section?
wait for that.
Okay, we'll wait for that a little bit. We'll wait for that a
I was
little
like,
bit.
Dan's just skipping.
No, I just
He
want
doesn't
to know
care.
about James Bond games.
We need Ian back.
Can I do a little
Whoa.
show and tell before we get off
you
topic?
can show me and tell me.
so-
You
things.
can't. You can tell
You
us.
can tell
but
us. It's
you
an
can't-
audio medium.
I
yeah,
know
it's
that.
an
I know
audio.
that. But you can see it. Everyone else. So I have my GoldenEye cart right here.
Nice.
Look at
And-
look at
and
that
my-
young ass Pierce.
And my mini disc of 007 Nightfire, which I didn't remember
nice.
actually was Pierce Brosnan in the game, even though it's not based on a movie.
Right.
I do remember that the World Is Not Enough cart was blue. Mm-hmm. I obviously don't have it anymore. I sold it, and I don't remember that game very much.
That's okay.
I
How much did you
also
sell it
have-
for?
Probably like $250. I don't know.
Bag of beans.
GameStop, you trade everything in, you walk away with $15. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I do have the GoldenEye for Wii, and that was a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
I remember being really excited about it, being like, oh, they're going to remake that game.
Did you get
And
that in college?
I did. We
I
probably played it in
vaguely
my
remember
apartment.
that, like you getting super hyped about it because I lived on the floor above you.
Yep. We definitely played it in college, and it was like, oh, man, the motion controls are not great, and the story isn't as good.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I felt. So this week I played From Russia with Love, which was a 2005 based off of the Sean Connery movie.
There we go.
Thank
of
you.
the same name in the 60s or 70s.
Yes.
I think 60s.
60s.
But regardless, it's kind of cool because they still use Sean Connery as the voice actor. You can tell it's a little aged. It's an interesting concept. I appreciate it, but also they kind of gave it the GoldenEye treatment where they expanded a lot and just there's missions for the sake of missions,
Right.
Instead of just following strictly on the plot. So that was kind of something that bothered me about it. And then also it's clunky. It's a cover shooter sort of. It's third person and there's no free aim really. It's all lock aim. And I got to a point where I died, I think, 10 times. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm done with this now. Because they were just sending enemies at me over and over and over while I was trying to do an objective. So it had a lot of things that weren't things that I'm used to, I guess, in modern gaming at this point. It's a 15-year-old game. But I'm kind of glad I went back to it just because, I don't know, I'd never played it. And it was something I kind of always wanted to play, it did some interesting things, but overall it was too kind of too clunky.
The other game that I was playing this week is GoldenEye Source. So there are still online servers where you can play GoldenEye Source through Steam. You have to follow some directions and download some different tools in Steam, but there's still people that play in it. And I guess it's kind of like the Wii GoldenEye in that it's kind of like remastered maps. It's a little strange because you kind of just like drop into a server immediately and you don't know what weapons you're gonna like go into a multiplayer with, and you don't really know how many people are going to be on your teams, and it's a little, I keep using the same word, It's a little clunky, but it was super nostalgic
It's
because
probably a lot clunky.
Yeah, it was kind of fun though.
Okay.
Kind of like not having any rules and just like jumping into a multiplayer. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was this wasn't an official Bond game, but it came out in 1984. The original one came out in 1984, and it's completely based on James Bond. I mean, the car looks exactly like the car that James Bond drove, and that's Spy Hunter. And I
Okay.
feel like that was a pretty big game, and it continued to be a big game through arcade. Oh my gosh, what are they called?
Cabinets.
Yes.
Yeah. No. So
Which that was like an unofficial Bond game.
it was.
right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
basically like you were a spy. You were a spy hunter who was hunting James Bond-esque. So you had a car that could hunt other spy cars, which is basically what it was about.
They didn't get the license, basically.
Was I the only one who played James Bond 007 Everything or Nothing?
I think so.
I think I played everything.
That sounds
Because that
familiar.
was my favorite. And nobody's even touched on it.
Talk
I
about
think I
it.
played it, but I don't know. I just remember there was like a really early car driving scene in it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. So this is an EA game, and it was just really good. It felt like a Bond game. It was cinematic enough. There were very like Bondy moments, if you will. It just didn't feel like an FPS. It was actually in third person. And visually, the graphics were really solid. There was a lot of car driving scenes, which it was EA, so they brought the Need for Speed guys in to do the car driving
Right.
scenes, so they felt really good.
Oh. Yes.
And it had co-op.
Wait.
Which I thought was great.
Was that the one with Jaws, or was Nightfire the one with
Yes.
Jaws?
Jaws? Yeah.
Jaws.
That was Jaws.
Yes.
I totally played that.
Yes. That
So-
That
boss.
was my favorite. Nobody said anything.
So I
I forgot about that.
I think the games that were not based off of movies tended to be better because they didn't have to expand on the movie content.
Yeah.
And it felt thin when they did that, but when they created their own stories, it felt better because they were able to.
Creative freedom and kind of spread out.
Yeah.
I'm sure I rented this one. I think I probably had been playing a lot of Nightfire, but what they started with in Nightfire was really good, and EA clearly had something going there. And so moving it into the next game that came out, I probably just didn't own it, but it does sound very familiar. I probably rented a lot of these and just
Right. Yeah.
stuck with the ones that were the traditional. I feel like with James Bond, at least with GoldenEye, right? Like it set up so much of what the future of FPS gaming would be. Without it, everything would look totally different these days. And the fact that it is clunky is just like it's part of its charm, at least to me at this point. But it's just like, they're the ones to start it, but they weren't the ones to perfect it.
Agreed.
Right. There were a lot of really important games that came after it that we remember. Like almost immediately after that, Perfect Dark came out, and a lot of pretty much anyone who's played an N64 and has played that game is like, oh yeah, that multiplayer is like the most amazing multiplayer of any of those shooters from that time period. But we might ask what would make a really good James Bond sort of game, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in the second half of the podcast. So we're just gonna. Why don't you guys just stick around, have a vodka, have a martini, and then we'll be right back with the Long Lost Heroes podcast to talk about what makes the best sort of spy game. All right, stick with us. We'll be right back.
Hey Brew Crew, it's Allison, and I'm interrupting our episode a little differently than usual. I really wanted to give a quick shout out to our fellow casters, Ross and Surf, with 16-ounce gaming radio. They've been recording strong for a bit over 2 years on their awesome podcast about brews and games. I know I've enjoyed listening to them, but their next episode will be their last, and I really just wanted to say thank you for the awesome content to help me get through my work days from all of us at the Game Brew. I really suggest following them on social media because they're considering doing some other work, even potentially focusing on home brewing, which I know a lot of our listeners love hearing about doing themselves. And Ross has been great sharing all of that in our Discord. So that's been really cool to watch. And I just hope you guys follow just so you can get that content in the future if they decide to do it. That's 16OZ_gaming on Twitter, or you can hit up Ross in our Discord. He floats in and out with us at bit.ly/discobrew. All right, back to our content. Cheers.
Hello and welcome back to the second half of the Gamebrew podcast, where we are joined by the long lost heroes AJ and Frank. How's the martinis / vodka going there, boys?
It's
good.
going very nice. Very nice to be here.
Very nice vodka, yes, is great.
Спасибо. Stasic. Привет. All of the words. Zhajigalka. That's my favorite word. Zhajigalka. Lighter.
Lighter.
Oh, I was going to say, what is that?
I know I've been kind of sipping on mine very slowly just because it is a lot.
It's a lot.
So,
I finished mine and I've switched back to beer.
all right.
I made a second one.
As is tradition.
You did?
I did.
Oh,
Refill.
what a team player.
Like I said, I gotten used to it. I've been drinking them lately, so yeah.
I really, like we were discussing during the break for a hot second, I feel like pretty drunk considering
Right?
I haven't had much to eat today.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Just
Yeah.
straight alcohol. And we'll do
I
it.
didn't realize it was straight alcohol until I was mixing it. So
Hey, all these things that I'm mixing together. Wow. They're
Yeah,
all
it's
just
just
These are all
alcohol,
just
aren't they?
alcohol, aren't they?
I don't know why I thought when I got the vermouth at the liquor store that it wasn't actually alcohol, that it was somehow like
You know,
a
alchemy
mixer.
is fun, you know? It was a
Yeah.
fun practice.
And that's where you can substitute the vermouth for olive juice,
Olive juice. Hey,
Okay.
Or just
If you-
do both.
Alex.
or just do both, like me.
Alex.
And then you make enough to make 2 martinis.
Alex. Olive juice too. Okay.
Oh, I love juice too.
I love juice
Olive
so much.
juice, all of you.
So we kind of skipped this section in the first half, but we have been playing some games this week. Does anyone have anything of note that they want to talk about that they've been playing there?
Frank or AJ?
I'll okay. So this week, not a lot. So I just want to mention this mission that I embarked on at the beginning of the pandemic. I was on the mission to catch them all.
Nice.
Okay,
Gotta catch 'em all.
that is a valiant mission.
So I played a lot of the Pokemon games throughout the. I have every generation game, but I never completed the Pokedex in any generation except for like the first one.
Right.
And so to date, I think in Pokemon Home, I'm at 866 out of whatever 9. I think it's like 900 something
it's
now.
so intense now.
That's a lot.
It's so intense. So, but I've been on a little bit of a hiatus for like the past month or so. But I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go.
Yes, me too.
Which, yeah,
Yay.
you know, they got new feature. Allison, we should become friends.
We
share
should.
our stuff afterwards.
You've
That would be
already
great.
become friends.
Yes. But I would like Poke friends.
Poke friends.
It's different.
Come on,
It's
Chris.
We need to
different,
give each other
Chris.
gifts.
God, Mom.
Mega Charizard's out right now.
I know. Very excited
if that
about it.
matters to you, but
AJ, have you been playing anything?
Yes. The new Iron Man VR game for PlayStation 4.
Oh. Tell us about that.
You know, what can I tell you about it? I love VR. I think it's the games that I've played on it are really they're fun, and it brings me to a different level of like pure joy. So like whereas like I think like the challenges are shorter, like obviously it's not as in depth as playing an Avengers movie, but it's pretty fun. And you fly around, Ghost is one of the big villains. You're flying around on the helicarrier, dude. You're hanging out you're flying above Malibu, and they make it just very, I can't, it's awesome. I'm sorry. It's good. And I think that for what the VR like I was playing before, which was this game called Astrobot, which I think I was talking about last time, which is kind of like, I don't know, combining Super Mario and that kind of gameplay into VR where you're the controller and you are wherever your POV goes is where you can see your guy is going. They put you over these crazy chasms as you're moving around, and it's super fun and just enjoyable. Iron Man is the full fantasy of what you want to do, and it's like, I don't know, I appreciate. I don't get caught up in the kitsch of it, and I don't stress that it's not awesome yet. It's gonna get better. I would like to look into getting more haptic stuff for it, which I think that this has integration for, but other than that, like, it's really, holy shit, it's cool.
So, like, on a scale of 1 to Tony Stark, how much do you feel like Iron Man?
I would say
playing it?
probably like you're at a solid 6 or 7, because it's not, it's not done with RDJ, and you're not like, it's not about the jokes, I don't think, like, which I think Iron Man can be also, which is
Sure,
that's,
yeah. His snark is a big piece
the
of
cynicism of the character and the irony of where he was to where he becomes is pretty important, and they don't, that's not, that's not here or as big as like in the Spider-Man game is, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where you really get the full Peter Parker oeuvre.
Yeah.
This is more like this is to be played to introduce people to what the future of VR will probably be, and where the technology is now, where this is in my house. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely.
So you feel more Warhammer than Iron Man on my scale.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the VR games are. It's like it's nuts. A lot of the games make patches, and it was super cool of this to not be a patch, a 2-level experience. That it's a game, and you have a couple of things to do. Like, I don't know. I also think that Sony and the PlayStation system, I like it. My brother has the Oculus. We go back and forth all the time. He's been playing it for a couple of more years than I have, but I don't know. I just love the ease of it. I like the controllers.
Nice.
You hold the batons as you're, maneuvering around to, push your repulsors. It's cool. It's great. I like it.
Awesome. I love that.
AJ, can you tell us what your favorite VR game has been?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Astrobot. I think that it was made for the Sony. It's the game that I got that my brother was like, listen, you're gonna fucking love this, dude. And I believed him. My brother is a way bigger gamer than me, and like, it was always very frustrating how early he caught on to the games and would kick my ass, like, no matter how long. And that's definitely been my favorite one. I've played I played through the Ghostbusters one, which is sad. I've played through the Batman one, which is okay. There's a lot of patches you can do. And I haven't really dug into Borderlands too much. I would say that's like, I have the disc, I haven't, or the code in my machine, but I haven't played it yet. And I just get nervous because I have, like, I don't know, I am not a big gamer, dude. I like to play like games that like I can consume. I love Rocket League. I'll play that kind of, regularly. I don't play a ton of like the long games. I just get frustrated.
I don't think that makes you less of a gamer, though.
No.
Don't discredit yourself here. You're totally a gamer.
But
You have a VR set. Like,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
That's true, I
Therefore,
guess.
You
Yeah,
are
come
a
on.
person who plays games. So
that's
we've
true.
talked
That's
before.
true.
What's
Yeah.
more
we
interesting?
don't really
is-
like the term gamer as a pejorative term.
Well, me and Dan particularly, but
Yeah, I like the term.
It's stupid.
I just think it's more inclusive than people make it.
I never even knew that was a thing. I'm sorry. But I
Don't be sorry.
Yeah,
Don't be
No,
sorry.
I
that's
mean, sorry.
I'm always sorry.
Quit
Don't be
it.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. Just be Iron Man.
Okay.
Gamebrew fact: we're never sorry here.
Unless we're Canadian,
So,
then we're always sorry.
all right. So, Alex,
true.
what have you been working on there, bud? Tell me about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 drops this week, September 4th. I am beyond excited. I got my new gamepad, just came in, and I pre-ordered the game, so I got the demo of the warehouse level, and I've been playing that a whole bunch this week.
It's like the best level.
It's a pretty iconic level, and it's funny. I'm gonna have to game this. Like, I'm gonna have to put hours and hours into this because I want to get really good at it. And playing the demo, they changed the physics of like it's more natural. And so where I'm like, I still have the muscle memory of the old games. And
Sure, that's cool.
And I did a competition at MagFest this past year for Tony Hawk.
You did.
And
I saw.
And this game, the physics are more along the lines of Skate.
So it's
better.
less floaty than it was.
It's less floaty, yes. And so like the hang time in the half pipe is much less. And I think that will change once you can boost your stats for a character. But at least like starting out, Tony Hawk, like Tony is the only one that you can play in the demo. But it's hard to combo. Like, it's really hard to rack up anything more than like a 40 or 50, like probably like a 40,000 point combo. Like, and that's on the high end. And so for me, it's going to be a learning curve, but I'm going to put the time in, and I'm super excited because there's multiplayer, there's online play, there's all of these new elements that they're bringing into the game. But
Epic.
it still is going to have so much of the original Tony Hawk that I'm so excited.
It's going to be awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited for that.
I'm so jealous.
Why are you jealous?
Well, because I only have a Switch, so I saw that they data mined that they saw the controllers in some portion of the game, and so they're theorizing that maybe they will release it on Switch someday. I'm hoping it's like sooner rather than later. Like maybe it's like holiday or something, because I would totally play the shit out of that game.
Who knows right now? Who knows?
Do you think it's going to be enough change to make it more than just nostalgia that drives players to play it?
I hold judgment until I see the online play. I think the online aspect of it could be interesting. And every Tony Hawk game, they've like done something a little different. Sometimes it's not for the best. But I think in this instance, it's going to pay off.
Now, just a question.
Yeah.
Is the music is different, right? They had to get different licensed music or no? The nostalgia is going to... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So for this, they were able to relicense, it's like 70% of the music from Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Do they have Superman and Jerry was a race car driver?
He drove so
they
goddamn
definitely
fast.
they definitely have Superman, because in the demo that is like the title. That's the title
Dang.
music
Those-
is Superman.
Those are like the two songs that I remember the most from that game.
Yeah,
That's going to be exciting.
and Guerrilla Radio and
Lights out.
I'm going to cry.
oh man,
Oh my God,
oh it's so
rage.
good. Oh, it's so good.
Well, speaking of online play, me and Chris were playing something this week that was kind of an online game, right, Chris?
We were. It was called Remnant
From the Ashes.
from the Ashes.
There you go.
Remnant from the Ashes. And so it's a Souls-like game. So it has some of the elements of a From Software game where if you go to kind of like a checkpoint or save point, you're going to reset enemies. Some of kind of like the dodge mechanics of that. But it's also a third-person kind of action shooter. And you also kind of can put skill points into things and kind of improve gear. It's a game that I found that I enjoyed it most when I was playing with other people. It was fine by myself, but I think it was a better game with other people.
I think it's fun. It took a lot of things from like the Gears of War. There's no cover mechanic, but I think that the shooting aspect of it is very Gears of War-esque, which kind of makes me.
I didn't get that
Really?
at all.
Okay. I mean, I
Well, because you don't have like that active reload.
That's true.
You don't have the cover mechanic. You like.
I think just the smoothness of the third person shooting stuff is either that, or it reminds me a little bit also of the way that there's no cover mechanics, but if you took all the cover out of Tom Clancy, freaking
Ghost Recon
what?
or
Division 2. Like if you took all the cover mechanics out of Division 2, it would be just like that. So
I was gonna say it kind of reminded me more of like Borderlands or Destiny,
okay, a little bit more Destiny like.
but without jumping.
I'll take it. We need to get a little bit further into the game before we kind of
For sure,
Make
but
our-
I think what it had an interesting setting. It was basically Bloodborne mixed with Fallout. It had a fun. It's interesting that if you're entering different worlds. So my world is different than Dan's world. So and Dan's world is different than Ian's world. So all of us have slightly different AI created worlds, which is kind
Yeah.
of neat.
Yeah.
So it increases replayability.
Yeah, I haven't been playing anything other than that of note this week. Just Warzone because I'm a bro. Allison, anything?
Nah, we can skip me. I'll talk about myself.
All right. Well, we'll talk about Allison's stuff next time, and I'll play something more interesting, I promise. But in the first half, we were kind of talking about some James Bond games, and obviously James Bond is a spy, and there are a lot of games that are stealth-based or spy-based that are out there. And we kind of wanted to say, like, what... I'm going to break them down a little bit. And like Q from... I'm reading off of Ian's notes. So like Q from the...
He was probably going to say something
Yeah,
quitty,
something very quippy
or
and
witty
like
there.
smart, but I'm an idiot. So,
Yeah.
so like Q from James Bond, we're going to break these things down and make some new gadgets out of what we can with these spy games. So what is your favorite spy game? Not necessarily like James Bond, but have you played any spy games that are your favorite?
I mean, I can start here, but everybody knows No One Lives Forever is my favorite spy
Yes.
game ever, period, end of story. I honestly, I've never played the second one, which is funny. I should. I didn't even know
should
there was
do
a
it.
second one until I was looking into this to see when it released. Yeah, I'm going to do that and I'll report back. But No One Lives Forever is my favorite spy game because I think what's essential in a spy game to differentiate it from every other like FPS or third person, depending on what you're playing game, is gadgetry. And No One Lives Forever does stellar gadgetry while being like really like tongue-in-cheeky about the spy genre in a kind of Austin Powers-y way, but with a woman.
Right.
Which I extra love because I can identify with that, obviously. So like her lipstick is a bomb and things like that. And everything she does is like uber sexy, but like sexy for her because she's the female spy versus, you know, the guy spies, and the guys are over sexualized in ways. Anyway, I just think it's really fun. It's an amazing game. If you haven't played it, I highly suggest finding a way to play it.
I
don't
do
even know if
remember
that's
looking
possible.
at the Game Informer pages for that over and over again. For some reason, I don't remember why. But
Oh yeah, because she's in a sexy little cat suit. Like that's very nostalgically.
yeah, it's like
themed and things like that.
70s-esque
It's
sort of.
70s, like yeah, and she goes to different locations, which I think is important in a spy game too. Is to go to far off like exotic
Right.
areas, like she's in Morocco, Germany, Caribbean, Alps. It's goofy because she's going to so many places, but they play off of that. And she goes into space at one point, like whatever. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, who
really
cares?
good.
Spy stuff.
It reminds me of
Spy
Time
stuff.
Floaters a little bit.
Yeah, a little
bit.
bit. I liked that game too. Maybe that's why.
I think the Metal Gear Solid series is my favorite spy game series. One, the music is incredible. Two, the story is incredible. It's like you're playing a movie.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
it is. The story is so flushed out, and they do a great job with the cutscenes. They do a great job of making you feel like you're actually part of the storyline. that's going on.
I think, and that's interesting too, especially in Metal Gear Solid 3. Frank or AJ, did you play Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater at all?
No.
Unfortunately,
No, not PS2 people. I know Frank's a Nintendo person, so.
I only have Nintendo systems, and I think that's like, I don't have a lot of spy games. We'll get to that, but go ahead, Dan.
Yeah.
But Metal Gear Solid 3 is interesting because it's called Snake Eater because it's supposed to be kind of this mirror of a spy film. Like the whole thing, it has like a theme song that you hear at one point whenever you're climbing up a ladder for like roughly 15 minutes, where you hear the Snake Eater like theme song, and it's very cool because it's all about stealth and it's about espionage, and but it's still Metal Gear Solid, which always has been about that, but they really play into it in that. But what about you guys? Frank, AJ, any spy games that you have played ever?
I have one kind of real one and one pretty fake one, I think.
All video games are fake, but go ahead.
Well, I play fake spy games.
So I'll start with the fake one because I don't know if it really counts, but Elite Beat agents, they're kind of like spies.
They are agents. That is true.
They are agents.
They're elite.
And they love the rhythm.
I love it.
But the other one I could think of that I played a bit was like Enter the Matrix. Like, would you count that as a spy
Oh
game?
yeah, totally.
I would.
Enter the Matrix
I would-
was awesome.
Oh, that
Right.
was so
Like,
good.
It was like at the time
Good
when the
pull.
movies were spinning out and having the other sequels, and it was just like ripe for exploration. I feel like they had some really cool like stop motion stuff, like with the stop time. And there was definitely a lot of gadgets, and you definitely had to sneak around.
Yeah.
So obviously that's an older game, but in recent memory, I don't really have anything, unfortunately.
It was dope.
It was pretty sweet. I liked putting
I
in
love
the
that
cheat
game.
to make unlimited, like slow time, and then all you do is just jump around, just doing like upside down backflips, shooting dudes while you're doing that.
It was a great game for that. That was awesome.
AJ, anything of note?
No. I'm sorry, guys. I like
No,
these.
don't be sorry.
I liked
No, don't be sorry.
Stop that.
You know, I loved Enter the Matrix. That was a really cool game. I liked I don't know. I liked sneaking around in like, you know, first person shooters I would play with other people.
Yeah.
But you know, that'd probably be my extent.
Yeah.
Trying to be sneaky different places.
I think there's something to be said about spy games, though. Like, I feel like we're thinking about it as James Bond, right?
Right, but
Right.
As a like
It doesn't have to be.
non-genre.
could be anything. I know Chris was playing a little bit of this earlier, and some of my favorite games are the Hitman series, which technically you're a hitman, but the majority of the stuff is like spy shit. Like you're going around and you have to like put on different disguises, try and kill people
Yeah.
in very creative ways so that you don't get caught by anyone. Find intel objects, kind of things that you need. So like with that, I mean, that's some of my favorite stuff is whenever it's like whenever you can play the game differently to try and be a sneaky boy instead of just going through and going blah, 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 blah to shoot all these boys.
It's kind of like the Assassin's Creed series could kind of fall
sure.
into that category as well. Because yes, you go around and you have to try and kill people, but there's
still a
also
stealth
there's a
game.
lot of there's stealth and there's a lot of other factors of missions and the story and everything that kind of fall underneath that spy espionage type gameplay.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think is kind of a distinction between a spy game versus like an assassination game. So like
Okay.
is whether your objective is to kill people or to not kill people. And I think the other big distinction is the types of gadgets that you get.
Okay.
Like whether they're spy-y gadgets or they're just like a big sharp
okay.
knife.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a James Bond game in 8 years, right?
And I would argue that there hasn't really been a spy James Bond game. It's all been like
First-person
games.
shooter. So we're going to
Yeah.
make the first James Bond actual spy game, okay? So what is the aspect that you want in this James Bond spy game? Like, if we're making it right now, what is the thing that you want to put in there that's going to make it like the epitome of a
Dan,
spy game?
I want skill trees.
Chris, I know you want skill trees. We'll
Why do you
put that
want
in
skill
there.
trees in a James
Listen,
Bond game?
doesn't matter. We'll
James
put
it
Bond
out.
is
Doesn't
already
matter.
skilled.
I want skills.
Listen, you level up 3
Go
times,
away.
and then you get some points you can put into how often you sexually harass Moneypenny.
He's a 00 agent. What more skills does he need?
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's maxed out. He's at 100.
there
He's already
already.
maxed
for all
out.
skills
All right,
already.
So,
no skill.
so I'm
trees.
going to go, Frank,
skill tree.
what is your contribution to the James Bond? We're going to call it James Bond. No. I'm sorry. We can't put James Bond in the beginning. If it's a James Bond game, it just says 007
7.
11.
asses to eat.
Colon.
I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to maybe there's something more along the lines of a story based, like I'm thinking along the lines of like a telltale where you have to make choices about things that you say and like the way that you interact with people. It's not just like, oh, you need to sneak around or you have to not
I
get
like
seen.
that because he is very like suave.
Right. It's so much more about his
It's a
personality
big
and like
part of it, yeah.
getting
Oh,
into
yeah.
so like if you go and you say the wrong thing, you're not going to get into the the casino, right? Like
I like
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
kind of interesting. And then you fail, and then you got to try again and figure out
Well-
what the right thing is.
I would argue that you don't fail. I think that you should have other options to get into the casino.
Maybe it makes it more difficult.
It might make it more difficult. It might make it so that you have to try other options. But like, I think there should be multiple options. That's one of
I
the
like
big
this.
things from
All
like
right.
Deus Ex or Hitman that kind of stand out to me. That
So
should be there.
So what we're saying is this is going to be super taboo that I'm saying this, but Witcher Bond,
what?
and
Oh.
I say that in the sense that like in The Witcher, it's like that story, the way that you, and I mean there's other games too. It's just The Witcher is on my mind because I play that a lot still, but it's like the decisions that you make impact how the game goes.
Right.
And so similar. So we need someone that's going to write a kick-ass story. And that is going to be the driving.
Right. And at least 20
force
different
in the
versions
game.
of that story, because if you fuck up talking to Lashif the one time, then it's like, oh, then I'm going to have to do this later. Like, it's going to make it harder for you to do something else.
It's going to impact it later.
Right.
So now we've got Frank, who said it needs to have choice impact. Alex, who says it needs to have a kick-ass story. So what is everyone else's input on?
I'm
the
gonna
perfect Bond
pick
game?
somebody.
The
I'm
one
gonna
thing.
pick Allison. Allison, what's your pick?
My pick is gadget.
Gadgets.
Yes.
You want
Gadgets.
cute
I need good
ass
gadgets.
motherfucking like, hey, guess what?
Yes.
I've got this bottle of bourbon that whenever you twist the top turns into a car or something, right?
Yeah, I want fun. I need fun in my gadgets. I just don't think that's there's enough impact on that anymore.
I'm tired
all
of
the
remote
gadgets-
controlled vehicles
Yeah.
being a
They're all
gadget. That was
boring.
cool 20 years ago.
Give me something fun and different. I want good gadgets. That's my
Allison,
aim.
make a gadget right now. What is the gadget? What's the Allison level, oh my god, perfect gadget to have in this movie?
I don't know. It depends on the game. See, that's where it gets complicated. I have to have a story, and then I can give you a gadget, because that's what's important. The gadget needs to fit the story. You can't just make a gadget to make
That's
a
true.
gadget.
So, all right. So Allison, you're locked in a room right now.
Oh my god. Okay.
In order to get out, there's a door, and then there is the obligatory vent that you can climb on top of the file cabinet. Oh no!
Jesus Christ!
Wow.
Gin
My
My gadget
everywhere.
is a giant towel.
Did
for
the glass
Alex.
break?
Oh no!
Did it get on anything important?
He's eating the olives. Ladies and
Was
gentlemen,
there
he is
glass
eating the
shards in
olives
those
right
olives?
I need a towel.
Oh yeah,
no.
you
now. We'll pause.
Okay.
This is where I'll put the.
Well, we can ask somebody else.
No, this is where I'll put the that music.
The Benny Hill
Benny
theme,
Hill theme.
the classic.
Thank you.
Betty
Thank
Hill.
you for that.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Poor thing.
Did the glass?
Oh,
you can't
Bubba, I'm
really
sorry
hear
for
it.
you.
It sounded
Sounded
like
like
it. Are you okay, Alex?
All good.
Are you
All
good to go? Is there glass?
No glass.
Oh,
It just
good.
it
That's
spilled
good.
on my keyboard.
Oh no.
Oh no!
Did
So
you tip
we'll-
your keyboard upside down?
So we'll see. It's my Mac keyboard.
Oh, okay.
So-
So there's no way to
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. But anyway.
Okay,
We'll
well,
see.
I guess I'll answer Alex's question quickly before
Yeah.
we move on. So, Alex, I think that the zipper on my pants could double as a lockpick.
Ooh, nice.
That's going to be my spy gadget. Like
Like
it
it.
has the lockpick functionality. Although we all know this is a complete lie because Allison doesn't wear pants when she's in her
Yeah,
own
exactly.
room.
So- maybe
That
like
is
maybe
a
like an
Gamebrew fact.
like a bra underwire or something like that.
Or you could like.
I don't wear bras in my room
Well, I
either.
don't
What
know
are you
then. Your
talking
glasses.
about?
All right, take
Glasses.
take
Your
my
glasses.
thing out of the
There
top of
we
your
go.
glasses. That'll do it.
I'm Velma without my glasses, completely
Glasses.
blind. They double as a lock.
So you get
It's a
out of the
lock
room,
plate.
you're useless.
using my glasses, which
All
I
right,
can't
Chris,
see with. And then.
what is your contribution to this spy game we're creating?
Well, I had more of a question. Does a spy game have to be kind of like current or future, or could
No,
it be?
it can be whatever
or could
genre
it be
you
like
want.
a
That's why I'm saying like it depends on the story, right?
right? But like, could you do like a cowboy
I mean,
spy game, or could you do like a medieval
you
spy
could
game?
either one. The
Sure.
Thief game is basically a medieval spy
right?
game.
Thieves, yeah, thief, yeah. Well, it's more of like an assassination game, right?
No, it's a thief game. You steal stuff.
I would say that
I
would fall into spy for me, but
I kind of hear where you're going with it, but I just feel like spy genre is very much based in like,
it's like-
certain elements of modern
Yeah, it's
technology.
modern
It's like
times.
50s and forward. Like you've got to have something like a car or gun or stuff like that. Where I don't know, but it
Cold
could
War
be done.
Nemesis.
Yes.
Nemesis.
Nemesis. Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Nemesis. I think it's
Nemesis.
with a
You
nemesis.
need your Ernst, your Blofeld, basically.
Nemesis.
You need an enemy.
yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm coming from with it. Is like for me, a spy game is a game where there's an organization that you're working for that has a common goal to overthrow someone who's too influential or powerful. I guess that's to me a spy
Through
game.
sneaky means.
And
They're
you are
sneaky
the
means.
rogue agent.
Yeah,
You're Tom Cruise.
You're
A
the
rogue
lone,
agent.
the
You're just
lone
an
agent. The lone agent.
Yeah, you're
That's
the-
important too. It's not like
Yeah,
a
you're
group
the
of
Ethan
people
Hunt in this
helping.
situation.
Are there any good Mission Impossible?
Oh, dude, there was one really.
There are Mission Impossible games. I don't know if they're good.
The one I played on
played a
N64
bunch.
was
I
pretty
didn't love
good.
them.
It was very hard, but it was pretty good.
was it was it good though?
It
Listen,
was-
12-year-old
it
Dan
was
liked it, so.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
I
entertaining.
feel like I need to
for-
visit
8-year-old,
those and we can
12-year-old.
discuss
8
them.
to 10-year-old Chris liked a lot of games that were bad. So
AJ.
Oh man.
shit, 30-year-old
hi.
Chris still likes bad games. So.
What do I think would make a good spy
Yes.
game?
A good thing.
A good
in
thing.
a spy game.
Yeah, I think I liked what Frank was building on earlier about how like you would have different tactics to like think about other parts of the James Bond spyingness that you don't always get to see. Like how do you get into the casino? And like what I would like to see more, I guess, is different fun kinds of villains. You know what I mean? Like I think that
Yes.
like that in the James Bond oeuvre, Frank and I on the podcast have defined an entire category of separate villains that we've coined as physical antagonists, right? Because it's very rare in a James Bond movie that Bond is going to fight the actual villain. Like he doesn't fight Goldfinger, he doesn't fight many of the people in
Blofeld,
the future.
really.
Blofeld,
right. He's like the
there's
brains,
always
and then he hires the brawn.
He has the brawn.
The henchman. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, so many of the spy video games, it's just there's this dude in army military uniform we're gonna get, and he's gonna be cool. I like the idea of there being other agents out there. I like the idea of there being other bad guys that you have to contend with that are, mid-level bosses, but they. An open world spy game, I think could be super cool, and I know that's really nuts to think about. But even if you did it in GTA style, where you're running around, a city in any given place or time, and I don't know, that's kind of what I've been thinking about too. Also, a game I would love to see that I was thinking that I would love to play while listening to you folks is. I think that why haven't they done a James Bond Lego game?
That would
go
be so
through
cute and good.
all of the
That'd be
James
so
Bond
great.
movies and play through them and see the different the different James Bonds and all the different bad guys, and I think
so
that could
many
be
characters.
The Lego
Yeah.
misogyny would be so good.
Excuse me, Lego. You can contact us at the Gamebrew
At gmail.com.
Yeah, I know, right?
gmail.com.
I check it
and we
sometimes.
we will absolutely converse with you about how to make this happen and how we can get paid.
Give us money. That's really all it comes down to.
Genius.
You can pay me in Legos.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah,
Those are
I
worth
would be
their
okay
weight
with
in
that.
gold. I mean, my contribution would obviously be there has to be some sort of God of War button press sex scene where you have to
Nobody
I
wants
do.
that. Nobody
I want
wanted
it.
it in God
Listen,
of
I want
War.
it.
But that's so much a part of
It's
Bond.
de-
No.
It just,
no. Like a weird massage.
or yeah, some.
But let's make it make sense. The God of War one felt
It's
weird.
true, but also just imagine that you're going into the situation. You're just okay. Instead of watching a short cutscene about James Bond seducing a woman, you have to press buttons, and if you don't, then it's oh no, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I couldn't perform.
No, it's not a button press scenario. I don't know how to work that well into games. It's just creepy.
It's true.
Unless it's done right, it's just weird and awkward. I totally think those things need to be involved in games because they're a big part of Bond. They're a big part of the lore here. But do it not creepy.
because who's playing the next Bond after Daniel Craig?
We don't know yet. The
don't
next
know.
Daniel Craig one, we don't
Nobody
even
knows.
know when that's
More.
coming out. Honestly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be November right now, but
Daniel Craig has Uno Mas.
We'll see.
What's it? No.
No Time
No
to
Time
Die.
to Die. There was supposed to be a game that released in April and that was related to that also.
so
Really?
okay, so the game got delayed
Oh, yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
It
Probably
definitely had some
spoilers.
spoilers in it there.
Yeah.
I liked Craig.
Then our fake game is 007 Time to Die.
There is time to die. Yes, there's definitely
There is
time to
time
die.
to die.
You know what? I think we have.
COVID
There is time to
2020,
die.
we've
Listen, I
got
think
time.
I've got about 15 minutes this afternoon where we could probably figure out a time to die. So.
Yeah, we
Well,
can make it work.
Speaking of time to die, I think it's probably time for us to kill this podcast.
Sadly, because
It
this
was a lot of fun.
guys.
We could talk literally forever. I'm
It was
going
a
to
great
cut
one.
so much out of this episode, listeners. I'm so sorry.
I
but-
know. I'm sorry to everyone who didn't get to hear the cool
but
parts.
but
All the cool parts
all
are
the cool
gone.
parts are going to only leave the boring shit. But
Man, if you had just waited for the extended cut.
the Zack Snyder cut
You guys were-
of the Gamebrew podcast.
We're actually
what I
funny
wanna see.
if you hear the
Yeah,
whole
I promise. I promise.
podcast. But
You need to use your gadget to find the rest
Yeah,
of it.
that's true.
yeah, good luck,
But Frank and
friends.
AJ, thank you so much for coming onto our podcast.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
As
It's
always.
the dream.
It's always fun.
Love
we
it.
love having you here.
It's the
This is
dream.
good.
Please come back more often.
You guys have
Can
to come
you
back
tell
soon.
us
Yeah.
where to get all of your shit?
Of course. So we are the Long Lost Heroes podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher and Spotify. Please subscribe. Thank you. We're on
Do it.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LLH Podcast. You can email us at info@longlostheroes.net. You can visit our website, www.longlostheroes.net. And we are still in the midst of James Bond, so you can go back and watch all the old movies and listen along with us in our weird convoluted order. But we are just about to dive into the Sean Connery era, and we're going to start with Dr. No, of course. So.
Nice.
Dr. No.
And you might hear some of the Gamebrew podcast on Long Lost Heroes relatively soon, talking about maybe something not related to
Or
James
slightly
Bond,
related.
but kind of
That's
sort of
right.
related. to James
Stay
Bond.
tuned.
Yeah, go listen.
Something.
Because we're not going to
Go
tell you
listen
when
so
it
you hear us.
happens, so you got to listen to
not me.
all of them so that you can get there.
Yes.
So as always, you can find all of our stuff and follow us on all of the social medias at The Game Brew, which is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those things. You can send us an email, which we do check. I check it most of the time. That's thegamebrew@gmail.com. And you can also come hang out with us and talk to our eccentric group of fans by going to our Discord, which is a bit.ly/discobrew. That's bit.ly/discobrew. And yeah, or if you want to just leave us a review or a like or 5 stars or any of that kind of stuff,
It all helps.
it really does help a lot. So please leave those kind of things. It's great. And we look forward to hearing from you on that. So without further ado, as is the tradition on the Gamebrew podcast, we're all going to say good night, everybody. So they say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
everybody.
The first one is by listening to the podcast, obviously, or going to our Twitter or our Instagram or our MySpace at The Game Brew.
MySpace?
MySpace.
MySpace? Did you just say MySpace?
Okay, that's it. Dan,
You're
is
in my
fired.
top 8, buddy.
Listen,
I'm the
blood
new-
loss
I
and
am-
so much alcohol.
Yeah, someone
Okay.
call an
Okay, here we go.
ambulance. Call an ambulance.
MySpace. Okay, so let's
No, I can do it.
for
I
Dan.
can do it.
I don't trust you.
I can do it. Okay,
Yeah, we have to make a MySpace now.
here we go.
God,
Ow, I just clapped. That was a bad idea. Okay. Okay.